Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Nice to have you guys come on. Let me see if I can see a few names here. Never know. It's never consistent. And let me see here. As you get your notifications, once again, thank you for coming in and coming on. The Doctor is in podcast. This morning, we're doing live. There's Kevin, your number one Kevin on the hit parade from Oshawa. Lynn, Aurora. Bonnie, how are you? Lucille from Mid-May or Midway. Sandy, Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Hi, Andrea from Niagara Falls. And Bonnie from Little Britain. Beverly, Sandy, Chilliwack, British Columbia. Brahim, our dear friend from Portland, Oregon. Nativity, good morning. And Rosalinda from the Kidneys of Canada. Niagara Falls. Yvonne. Nicole from our staff. How are you, Nick? Maria, Ottawa. Rosa, Montreal. Judy, how are you from New Brunswick? Good morning to you. Elaine, St. John's, Newfoundland. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming. Hi, Fran, Orangeville. See, we didn't miss you, Fran, today. Carol, West Virginia. Sharon from Kansas. Linda, New Brunswick, how are you? Nellie, good morning to you. And Wanda from Virginia. Derek, good morning to you. Janice from Brampton. And Paula Joe, how are you? Maryland, Charlottetown, PEI. Yolande, I was waiting on you. Dennis. And Cheryl from West Virginia. Vince. Nice to have you on. There's Wendy from Markham. And Bruno, how are you? Bon matin à toi aussi. Gail, Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. Jeanne from Montreal. Denise from Oakville, good morning to you. Judy from Mitchell. Robin from Connecticut. How are you, Robin? Sedelia, Vancouver. Darlene, Alberta. We love you guys. Thanks for coming on. I know it's bright and early out there. John, Elgin, Illinois. Dorothy, PEI, and it's cold, she says. Elaine from Churchill. Yeah, cold, right? Deb, Nova Scotia. Leela from Verner, how are you? Sue, Bolton, thanks for coming on. Wendy from London, Ontario. Keith, how are you? I've known Keith a long time. Liz, Sudbury. Louise, I'm going to say hello to Doc McEwen in West Tennessee. Shireen, Huguette de Hearst, Ontario. Darlene, and we love you guys. Thanks for coming on. Let's get going. Hazel, St. John's, Newfoundland. Okay. I'm going to hi, Gertie. How are you? From Burlington. And Lorna from Calgary. How are you? Thanks for coming on, guys. We appreciate it. Let me tie these two stories together. There's a Chinese study out, okay, on low fat and obesity. Low fat, dairy, and obesity. Okay? They're starting to talk now about bringing full fat dairy back. Now, as you folks well know, on this program, we've been saying it for years. Fat don't make you fat. Fat don't make you fat. Carbs make you fat. Okay? And what have I said about dairy? I don't want you to ditch dairy. I want you to switch dairy. Don't ditch dairy. Dairy's very good for you. But switch it. Fat. Butter. Think of it. Cream. This Chinese study said this, okay? Low-fat dairy and fat kids, okay? Headline. A Chinese children's study has shown when children are consuming low-fat dairy, like skim milk, 2% milk, or whatever, guys, that's white Pepsi. When you drink when you drink dairy devoid of fat or very little fat in it, you know what you're getting? You're getting a real surge of sugar. I believe it's one of the biggest reasons that so many children and even adults have trouble with dairy. Oh, I can't have that, doc. Why? Well, I have trouble with dairy. Yeah, but you probably have trouble, and this has been my experience and practice, you were having trouble with low-fat dairy, low-fat yogurt. And because fat is not your enemy. Fat is not your enemy. And of course, it's been vilified. And this Chinese study is saying, well, when kids are consuming low-fat dairy, they get fat. What? They get fat. And it just proves the point that fat don't make you fat. Okay? Now, go back to the 1970s. Okay? Go back to the 1970s. You remember Dr. Atkins? Right? The Atkins diet? Well, people thought he was crazier than a hoot owl. Do you remember that? Why? First of all, he wasn't crazy. He was a cardiologist. Okay? He wrote The Atkins Diet Revolution in 1972. And what was he saying? Well, he was frustrated because as a cardiologist, he was overweight personally. Okay? He was a fat cardiologist. How do you like that? Okay? He had trouble losing weight. And he did it, guys. And with his patients, he did it all. Meaning that here's what he did with some temporary success, but it always came back. And I wrote a book years ago on yo-yo dieting. What's yo-yo dieting? Well, when you tackle weight loss the wrong way, meaning that here's the mantra even today, most gurus, here's what they think, okay? Calories in, calories out. Eat less, move more. Eat less, move more. Okay? And that doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. I had a weight loss clinic. It was never based on eat less and move more. Because that's what we've been doing that for, well, like I said, Dr. Atkins, what was he doing? What was he giving to his patients that wanted to lose weight? The same advice. Well, it didn't work for him and it didn't work for his patients. You know what he was saying? Well, you know what? Eat less and move more. Eat less and move more. That is the foundation of yo-yo dieting. And you know what happened to Atkins? He in his heart, he was sort of a researcher, so he started looking at papers, publications. He goes back, and I think it was to William Banting in 1863, wrote about weight loss, eat more meat, eat less carbs. William Banting, 1863. And then a 1950 publication that Atkins wrote, because he writes about it in his book, that the Atkins Diet Revolution, he talks about a paper by Pennington in the 1950s. Same thing. Eat more meat and less carbs for weight loss. That's what Atkins did. He said, let me try it. And before he gave it to his patients, you know what he did? He did it. He tried it. And what happened? He lost weight. And he kept it off. You know, instead of the yo-yo up and down, like a yo-yo, he kept his weight off. And then he said, well, I'm going to write a book about it. But even before that, he gave it to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients. And the Atkins movement started. I'm a little disciple of that. Okay? I was around in the 1970s. Okay? And the Atkins movement started. And boy, oh boy, did they go after him. They went after him. The mainstream media went after him. The American Cardiology, the College of Cardiologists in the United States, they literally tried to revoke his license. He was called up in front of a committee of the Senate in the United States to give testimony. And people were going crazy. Are you stupid, telling people to eat fat? And these senators sitting around fatzos themselves, telling them off. You know, the only good thing, you know what he did? He brought in as witnesses patients who struggle with weight loss. And they gave testimony to Atkins' diet. Okay? So if you want to know where I come from, okay? You want to know where I come from? That was a big influencer in my EMC, eggs, meat, and cheese. Okay? Why did I do that? Well, I started off in my clinic, guys. You got to go back now about 15 years or more. And I started doing this with my diabetic patients. It worked. They never felt better. They were always told, you know, even as a diabetic, they were told, yeah, you have to limit your eggs because when you're a diabetic, you got trouble with heart disease, so you better lower your cholesterol. And the cholesterol comes from foods like eggs and meat and cheese. Don't eat cheese. That's full of cholesterol. That's all fat. You can't have that. All their lives, they were told that. And their diabetic lives, they were emphasized, well, you're much more susceptible to heart disease. True. That's true. A diabetic is 50 times more likely to have a heart attack. Did you know that? A diabetic is 50 times more likely to have a heart attack and have heart disease. That part they're right about. But they were blaming fat when they should have been blaming sugar. It's sugar diabetes, my friend. It's sugar diabetes. It's not fat diabetes. You don't eat fat and get diabetes. You eat sugar and you get diabetes. And anything that turns into sugar rapidly, like bread. Okay? That's what happens. And I knew that, so I said, well, we're going to do a 30-day program, and I'm going to monitor you like you've never been monitored before. You can do your own blood sugar if you want at home, but we're going to really look. We're going to look at your A1C. We're going to look at your weight. We're going to look at all of that. And you're going to find, and it was true consistently, you get a whole lot better. And, like someone said, well, Dr. Martin, do they cure diabetes? Well, there's no cure. It's like you're an alcoholic. Is there a cure for alcohol? You're an alcoholic? No. There's no cure for it. You just got to stay away from alcohol. That's all. It's called abstinence, right? You're an alcoholic? No more alcohol. You're a carbaholic? You just have to admit it, right? You know what we do in the office all the time for years and years, even on this program. My name is Tony, and I'm a carbaholic. Don't fool yourself. You can't be a diabetic without being a carbaholic. You can't. It's impossible. Type 2. Because it's sugar diabetes. Genetics. Yeah. Genetics. Okay. But that don't make you a diabetic. Right? My dad was a diabetic. That doesn't make me a diabetic. It makes me more susceptible to diabetes. Right? Just like I look like him. Okay? Yeah, more susceptible. But it doesn't make you a diabetic. Diabetes only comes from food that you eat, unless it's type 1. Okay, because that's autoimmune. Your pancreas is not even working. Insulin's not working. That's different, puppy, altogether. Even though, and I've shown this to thousands of type 1 diabetics, you and carbs don't get along either. Okay? You and carbs don't get along either. Because you got a problem with carbohydrates. Bread, pasta, rice, cereal, sugar, sweets, pastries, juice, milk. Low-fat milk. See the connection? And this is why, guys, the reset. What are you eating? Fat? And you're eating fat the way you're supposed to eat fat. Okay? Now, if you were an Inuit, you'd take blubber and just eat it. Okay? When you see a fatty piece of meat, that's the best meat. Got more fat-soluble vitamins, right? And yeah, like vitamin A and vitamin D, yeah, they're found in the fat. So don't trim the fat, eat the fat. It's good for you. But you see, the way God does it, right? You got fat, okay? Fat. Look at meat. That's why it drives nutritionists crazy. They look at meat and they see fat. Okay? They do. And that's why they say, well, maybe you can have a little bit of lean chicken. Because fat, in their mind, gives you cholesterol and makes you fat. Even today, in 2026, they still believe it. I saw a poster yesterday. Eat fruits and vegetables and limit your meat. I saw a poster. I felt like tearing it down. Because it's so stupid. In nature, when you look at an egg, okay, let's start with an egg. Eggs, meat, and cheese. What's in an egg? Fat? The yellow. You go to the grocery store, you'll see egg whites. It gives me a migraine. Egg whites. Where do you think egg whites came from? Cardiologists? They hated Dr. Atkins. They hated him. Well, you know what the rumor was? Dr. Atkins died of a heart attack. No, he didn't. He was 72 years old, and on an icy day in New York City, coming out of his office, he slipped and fell and hit his head. Went into a coma and never regained consciousness. That's how he died. He didn't die from high cholesterol. And no one does, by the way. They don't die from high cholesterol. But the whole nutrition science was wrong. 100% wrong. Imagine that. And they teach that. Dietitians, even today, imagine that. They get their master's degree in nutrition. And they still teach you got to limit your fat. It's calories in and calories out. And eat less and move more. And they still believe that. They can't be convinced otherwise. Sponsored by, okay, that's what I always said. They're sponsored by Kellogg's cereal, right? They're sponsored by. Yeah, they really are. And the heart associations, they're sponsored by the big food. And guys, I always bring you in the background, right? Let's open the curtain to see what's happening. Why is the world the way it is with a low-fat craze? Why is it like that? Okay, let me bring you behind the curtain. Let's look behind the curtain. Oh, it's big food. Why do you think there's a heart on the box of Cheerios? There's a heart on the box. I used to tell my patients, well, there's a heart on the box because if you eat Cheerios, you're going to have a heart attack. Well, no, it's because they're sponsored by, right? Kellogg's and Post and the other cereal companies, they give millions and millions and millions of dollars to the American Heart Association and the American cardiologists, and in return they get to put a heart on the box. Remember Basel? The stupidity. Remember that stuff? Is it still around? I'm sure it is. Oh, it looks like butter. Oh, it tastes like butter. And it's better for you because it got low fat and doesn't have that saturated fat. Isn't that true? Sponsored by Basel. Toasts are great as long as you put a low fat spread on it. How stupid is that? Your insulin goes through the roof. That's what Atkins was saying. Right? That's what Atkins was saying. And so, again, back in nature, let's go back to the egg. You know me and my little rabbit trails. Look at an egg. The yolk. Fat. Hello? Fat. What's the best part of the egg? Fat. All the vitamins are there. All the B vitamins are there. All the choline is there. That's good for your brain. Fat's good for your brain. Fathead. Your brain's made up of fat, for heaven's sakes. The low-fat craze. But remember, you got to go behind the curtain, open the curtain, say, what happened there? Oh, big food, big pharma. Big food, big pharma. Because they found a drug to lower cholesterol. And they made it the #1 selling medication of all time. Based on what? Based on poor science. But never true. Fat don't make you fat. And as a matter of fact, cholesterol, you need it. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol. But that's what happened. And the whole narrative has been that. Try and change it, you're going against the grain. They'll look at you like you got two heads because they still count calories. And they, eat less, move more. And everything in moderation. I get nauseated when I hear the word moderation. How about elimination? Okay? You got trouble with weight? How about eliminating the sugar that we talk about almost every day on this program? How about you start there? You'll see. It'll make a big difference. Right? Doc, you mean I can eat eggs? Yeah. You mean I can have cheese? Yeah, it's full fat. You mean I can have butter? Yeah, put it on your steak when you make a steak. And lots of it. Let it drip. It'll lubricate. It doesn't block your arteries. It lubricates your arteries. Think of oil. You need an oil change. You want to have a few vegetables? Put butter on it. And fry your eggs in butter. And bacon. I think there was nothing that bothered, I'm going back into the 70s now, okay? Nothing that bothered people more than Atkins telling people they could eat bacon. That just drove them mental. Not that people don't like bacon, they just never thought it was good for them. I said, of course it's good for you. Look at the fat. It's dripping. Anyways, I was reading an article about Atkins the other day, and I said, I just got to give folks, because sometimes I don't give you where I come from sometimes. I've been doing this a long time. And I've been so consistent, guys, over the years, just so consistent. I actually wrote a book, okay? Eat Fat and Get Lean. And then we had a cookbook, Eat Fat and Get Lean. We should republish it. Okay? And it's good, man. It's good. Fat is good. And this Chinese study did not surprise me at all, because kids today, okay, I don't have to go to China. Kids today, they're carboholics, and they're told it's good. And I really appreciate that the food pyramid, they've turned it around. I never thought I'd see the day in my lifetime that they're talking about, we vilified saturated fat. I never thought I would ever see this in my lifetime, guys, that they're starting to challenge. And the reason they're challenging it is look at the results of our diet. 50% of North Americans are diabetic or pre. On the new data coming out, 70-something% or whatever would be classified as obese in our society today. Well, it ain't working, what we're doing. Heart disease is worse than ever. Cancer is worse than ever. Diabetes is on steroids. It's so bad. Alzheimer's, remember, they won a Nobel Prize in 2005 when they called Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. Don't forget that. They weren't talking about, well, you eat fat, your brain's bad. You're going to get Alzheimer's. No, you eat sugar and your brain's going to shrink. That's why I jokingly, guys, you know me and my audience, I joke with you. And I go, oh, you want your chicken and salad. In the 80s, salad. It's so much better than everything else. Salad. And maybe put a little bit of chicken on it. But don't eat red meat. I mean, that's going to give you a heart attack. It's going to elevate your cholesterol. True or false? I've been saying it for 40 years or more. Okay. I love looking at history, guys. I really do. Okay. And, and you read about Atkins and all that, and the guys were vilified and everything else. And, my word. Okay. Guys, I don't know what was announced, but we're going to be on tomorrow morning. Okay. Lord willing. Okay. We'll be on tomorrow morning, Lord willing. You got your book? Rebuild Your Temple. Okay. Hot off the presses. Okay. Really, really, we thank you, our audience, for making that such a successful launch of Rebuild Your Temple. In Canada, okay, only right now, you can get the book Sun, Steak, and Steel. Still available. Sun, Steak, and Steel. That was number one when it came out. Okay. But it's great because it's got the metabolic reset in there, the 30 days, how, when, and why, and where to do it. Not where, but anywhere. And then there's a chapter in there on all the blood tests that we recommend. Be your own doctor, guys. I'm not saying get rid of your doctor. I'm saying be your own doctor. Because the more you study, the more you learn, the more you can question, the more you can look at. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a medical doctor, but you can learn about yourself. And this is why we do this program, to teach. Teach. So that you'll learn. And you guys, again, I mean it. Smartest audience in the podcast industry. You guys are the smartest. Yep, can't fool you guys. Okay, so on tomorrow morning, okay, Friday is what? Q&A. Send your questions in. Someone was asking about clove water that I didn't answer because I read that yesterday. Dr. Martin, I thought I did answer it, but you know me. I pull out my senior card 3 or 4 times a day and say, hey, I forgot I'm a senior. It works. People accept that card. Never leave home without it. Your senior card. Oh, I forgot. Okay. Clove water. You know what? Here's my answer to clove water, okay? I got no problem with it. When it tells you it fixes, okay, because I went online, I just said, because nobody came into my office in all the years I was there and said, well, the best thing you can ever drink is some clove water, okay? I never had anybody, I don't think I ever had anybody tell me that, okay? But if you want to drink clove water, put a few cloves in your water, hey, go for it. I got no problem with that. But just be careful when they tell you it fixes everything from warts on your nose to pimples on your toes. Like when someone says that to me, I read that it fixes everything and it cures cancer. No. I don't believe that. But I'm not against it. I'm not against it. Okay? because cloves are good. Water is good. I used to tell my patients, well, you're drinking water. That's a big start. Okay? That's a big start because you need that. Okay? Okay, guys. We love you and we'll talk to you soon.